Jamal Adams is definitely a figure that makes Seattle Seahawks fans have mixed opinions. But nowadays, there's been a lot more opinions of people who are not on the Jamal Adams train than on the Jamal Adams train. And he has gotten so bad that Dave Mahler, KJR Softy, you know who he is, tweeted, "I don't know if I ever wanted a player out of Seattle more than Jamal Adams. Coaches would be Ty Willingham. Players, I'm not sure who would be number one over Jamal." He went on to say, "Who did you despise so much that you couldn't wait for them to be gone?" Pretty weird that this is the guy he's wanted most out of Seattle in history of players in Seattle. Now, he went on in one of his responses to say, someone said, "You've always been a hater of him." He said, "Of Jamal, at first, no. Now, yes, I hate his guts." Hate is a strong freaking word. But that's not all. Brock Heward called him his least favorite Seattle Seahawk ever. And there's been a lot of talk about Jamal Adams in general because, well, he is a figure that comes with a lot of big plays, a lot of excitement, and he costs a whole lot of capital and money to become a Seattle Seahawk. I'm talking about capital and draft picks, and I'm talking money as his contract situation is pretty big. Now, to add fuel to the fire, Greg Bell of the Seattle Times tweeted yesterday, asked John Schneider at the NFL Combine here in Indianapolis if Jamal Adams is in Mike McDaniel's plans, a new Seahawks defense for 2024. Schneider responded, "He is in his plans. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. We'll keep working through things. We're still trying to figure that all out," which kind of sounds like, no, he's not in the plans. And it sounds like unless Jamal Adams is willing to take less money, restructure his deal, he's going to be out of Seattle. Now, before we get to why and how he became one of the most hated Seattle Seahawks players of all time, and I'm not one here who says I hate Jamal Adams because honestly, the dude's never done anything to me. Would have loved to see him work out in Seattle, and I just think that a combination of bad luck and then him just not being able to communicate properly to the media has turned him into the figure that is. And now you guys are seeing this is a little sloppy. I'm using my left hand here. Tore my rotator cuffs. This is my first video in a while. So you guys just bear with me here. A little personal note. I'll give you more of that note here at the end of this video. So we have to take a look at someone like Jamal Adams and talk about his cap hit. His cap hit is $21 million savings. If you cut him, $16 million in dead cap money. I'm going to pull those stats for you exactly, but that's why the Jamal Adams situation is so important to Seattle Seahawks fans in the future, because we cannot have him be our highest paid player heading into next year. It just would not work out under any circumstance because the guy just doesn't play football games, plain and simple. Let's talk a little bit. Jamal's production over the last 3 seasons. He played in 29 out of 51 total games, which is just over 25%. And that number even seems bigger than that I remember. I don't even remember him playing in 50% of the games. During those 3 seasons, the guy who came in and led the defensive backs in sacks had 0 sacks in his last 3 seasons. 0. That's what we're paying him for, to make big plays. And takeaways, which his other big play, 2 takeaways in 3 seasons. And if the Seahawks cut him post June 1st designation, they'll save $16.5 million against the 2024 cap, with $10.4 million dead cap hit in each of the next 2 seasons. In other words, probably time to say goodbye. Now, after John Schneider's comments, Jamal went on his X/Twitter page and said he's looking forward to the opportunity. And I think Brock Heward said it best on 710 when talking about the opportunity. He said basically that he's had his opportunity. He said, "Oh yeah, because you haven't had an opportunity here? You didn't get paid here? You haven't been handed everything here? You haven't been covered over and over again here," Heward said. And truly, he lost me with the attack that he did off the field this year. Now, a lot of people are saying, man, Jamal Adams can't catch a break. But the problem is Jamal also doesn't do a good job with the media, doesn't say the right things. And if you are wondering what he's referring to here, and I think this is where people get rubbed the wrong way, was last year, Jamal Adams was a play of his that was really bad on the field. He got burned in coverage. A reporter from New York put out like, ouch or wow, that was a bad play. Jamal then took a picture of him and his fiance and said, ouch or wow, making fun of the guy's fiance. And when he was asked about it, he says, when you go low, I go lower. And I think that's really where the hate affair with Jamal Adams really ended up becoming a thing, because I think it's fine for players to snap back at the media. I think fans will defend it. I think media will defend it. I think it's okay when you're criticizing people for their jobs. I think it's okay when you criticize people for their takes. But when you go after someone's wife, I think that's where Jamal Adams really lost the fan base. And I think that's where Jamal Adams really ended up making more enemies than friends. And that's why he became one of the most hated players in Seattle Seahawks history, in my opinion. A guy who we literally traded first-round draft picks for, a guy that got paid a huge sum of money, and then ends up being a guy who can't stay healthy, which, by the way, not his fault. I think a lot of times we look at players who can't stay healthy. We know they're busting their ass to get back on the field, rehabbing, doing all they can to get back on the field. I'm not a guy who's going to sit here and make fun of a guy for being injured, because being injured sucks. And I'm pretty sure if you had asked Jamal, do you want to be injured? And he'd say absolutely fucking not. He does not want to be injured. No player wants to go through pain. No player wants to go through injury. Injuries suck, plain and simple. But one thing you can't defend him on is his production during those games. Like I said, 29 out of 51 games Jamal Adams played in the last 3 seasons has resulted in 29 games. That's a little like less than a season and a half. So if I told you in a season and a half, a guy had 2 takeaways and the guy had 0 sacks, do you think he's worth being one of, if not the highest paid player on a football team? I think it'd be really hard for you to say yes to that. And that's why Jamal Adams has become an enigma. Jamal Adams has become someone where fans have so many different takes on him, because he does make those electric plays. We have seen the potential. We know just how dynamic he can be, but he just hasn't spent enough time on the field to prove it to anyone. And that's why I think the Seahawks, look, here's the thing with the Seattle Seahawks offseason this year. It's a season of kind of refresh starts. And despite the fact that Jamal Adams might get cut, sign a deal somewhere for a lot less money, and produce some high-end results, I just don't think his time here in Seattle is going to be able to do that. It's going to be really hard. He's chasing bigger things. He's chasing redemption. He's chasing, not living up to his contract. So I think for him, a fresh start would be absolutely necessary. I think for the team, a fresh start would be absolutely necessary. This is no actual shot at Jamal Adams himself, because like I said, I'm not going to go the Dave Softy route. I don't hate his guts. The guy has not done anything to hate it, might make me hate his guts. Maybe Dave has a different story. I don't. The guy's been a guy who's been trying to get back on the field, keeps getting injured. I would say made one really bad mistake attacking a reporter's wife. Wasn't really remorseful about it, so I don't know what kind of dude he is, but I'm not here to sit and tell you he's a good or bad dude, because he might be a great dude. For all we know, that made a mistake and doubled down on his mistake. So do I hate his guts? No. But do I understand why Brock here would say, maybe one of my least favorite Seahawks of all time? Yeah, I do understand that, because he came in with high expectations, high hopes, and got paid a whole lot of money and literally did diddly squat, jack shit. Did nothing for the Seattle Seahawks. His contract probably hurt the Seattle Seahawks more than helped the Seattle Seahawks. But let's not have too much forgiveness here. When we did bring him in from the New York Jets, he was one of the most dynamic safeties in the NFL, might have been one of the best safeties and best defensive weapons in the NFL. And we thought that's the guy we're getting. And for year one, he did live up to those expectations for the most part. I know he was bad in coverage. You might tell me that in the comments. But overall, he was very, very, very decent. Decent enough to earn himself a huge contract extension. But after that, things just haven't been smooth. It doesn't mean he's not going to have a good career somewhere else. Maybe he goes out there, but you can't be afraid of losing a guy because he might end up having a good career somewhere else. So it's time to say goodbye to Jamal Adams, maybe the biggest enigma in Seattle sports in a long time, because like I said, the potential was there. We saw results early, but injuries just took over. And sometimes the team and the player definitely need a fresh start. And I think that's where we are with Jamal Adams. So, gonna make this quick. As you guys see here, we were talking about injuries. Injuries are not easy. Sling on, but we're still gonna be recording here. So don't mind the video if it's a little more messy than usual, with less cuts and stuff. It's really hard to edit on a computer like this with one arm. Tore my rotator cuff and now rehabbing. And my name is George Arjour, part of Seattle on Tap. Thank you for watching. You can find all our Seahawks videos here, Mariners videos at Mariners on Tap, and then Huskies videos at Huskies on Tap. We really appreciate you watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment. Do you think Jamal Adams deserves to stay in Seattle, or is it time to move on? And thanks for stopping by.